The Galactic Council Hall was the largest structure ever built in known space. It floated above a blue star, shaped like a ring of light and metal. Thousands of species had gathered there before, but today was different. Today, the galaxy was deciding war. At the center of the hall, holograms showed burning planets and broken fleets. A powerful alien alliance called the Karna Dominion had begun an expansion war. They attacked weaker systems, took resources, and erased entire civilizations. Many races were afraid. Many were angry, but no one could stop them. One by one, the great empires spoke. The Varel praised their own fleets. The Threx demanded total destruction of the enemy. The Eldari warned of balance and fate, but offered no action. Then finally, the council speaker announced, "Next, the representative from Earth." A soft ripple of laughter moved through the hall. Earth. Humans. A small hologram appeared. A single human stood there. He wore a dark uniform with no medals, no decorations. He did not look tall or powerful compared to the towering alien forms around him. His name was Ambassador Hale, though few bothered to remember it. Whispers spread quickly. Why are they here? They barely reached interstellar travel. Did they bring rocks and missiles? Some laughed openly. The speaker sighed. Earth, you have the floor. Briefly. Hale did not react to the insults. He stood straight, hand behind his back, calm eyes scanning the room. When he spoke, his voice was steady and clear. Earth thanks the council for allowing us to speak. A loud alien voice interrupted him. What can humans possibly add? A Karna general sneered. This war is beyond your understanding. More laughter followed. Hale waited. He did not raise his voice. He did not argue. When this war began, he continued, Earth observed. We listened. We studied. Another voice mocked him. Studied? From your tiny system? Yes, Hale replied simply. From our history. That caught a little attention. Humans, Hale said, have fought wars since before we left our planet. We have destroyed our own cities. We have nearly ended ourselves more than once. The council grew quieter, but the Karnats still smiled. Then you are weak, the general said. A species that cannot control itself. Hale shook his head slowly. No, a species that survived itself. Silence spread. We did not come to threaten, Hale continued. We came to warn. The Karna Dominion believes this war will bring control. It will not. It will bring something else. And what is that? The general demanded. Hale looked directly at him. An end. Laughter exploded again, louder than before. Sit down, human, the speaker said impatiently. Earth has no fleets to offer, no armies to deploy. This council will proceed without you. Hale nodded once. Understood. He paused, then added one final sentence. When the fighting reaches its peak, please remember that Earth chose not to laugh. The human hologram faded. The council moved on. Strategies were discussed. Fleets were promised. Weapons were approved. The war vote passed with overwhelming support. Earth was ignored. Far away, in the quiet darkness near the edge of the solar system, massive structures floated unseen. Human shipyards, hidden behind layers of stealth and empty space, came alive. Deep inside one facility, lights turned on row by row. Engineers moved with purpose. Screens filled with data gathered from every battle in the galaxy. A calm female voice echoed through the command chamber. Observation phase complete. Another voice responded. Threat analysis? Confirmed, she said. Enemy tactics rely on fear and overwhelming force. Predictable. Inefficient. A third voice asked, Council reaction? They laughed at us. There was a pause, then a simple reply. As expected. On Earth itself, no alarm sounded. No speeches were made. The public saw nothing unusual. Cities slept. Oceans moved calmly. Planes crossed the skies. But beneath the surface, humanity was preparing, not in anger, not in pride, but in silence. Back at the Galactic Council, the first major battle began. The Karna Dominion crushed a smaller alliance fleet within minutes. The galaxy watched in horror. Celebrations erupted among the strong. None of them noticed a change in the data streams. None of them noticed the unknown signals recording every shot, every movement, every mistake. And none of them remembered the humans' words. Earth had not been mocked into action. Earth had been patient. And when humans finally entered the war, the galaxy would understand why patience was the most dangerous weapon of all. The war did not begin with chaos. It began with confidence. Across the galaxy, news channels showed the same message again and again. The Karnate Dominion was winning. Their fleets moved like storms. Their weapons tore through shields as if they were paper. One system after another fell silent. The Galactic Council watched from a safe distance. This will be over soon, many said. Strength always decides, others agreed. On the battlefield near the Zeta Rim, a coalition fleet made its final stand. Hundreds of ships formed tight formations, trusting numbers and firepower. The Karnath Armada arrived without hesitation. The battle lasted 11 minutes. When it ended, broken hulls drifted like metal graves. No Karnath ships were lost. The galaxy gasped but also nodded. This is reality, analysts declared. Power decides survival. No one mentioned Earth. But something strange began to happen in the following days. The Karnath Dominion pushed deeper into enemy territory, yet their victories started costing more than expected. Not ships' time. Their enemies retreated too cleanly. Escape routes were always open. Traps felt empty. A Karnath fleet commander frowned at his tactical screen. Why did they pull back so early? He asked. No idea, his aide replied. They should have fought longer. Scan the area again. The scan returned nothing unusual. Still, the commander felt watched. In another system, a Karnath strike force attacked a weapons factory world. The defenses collapsed fast, just as planned. But when ground forces landed, they found the factory abandoned. Data cores wiped clean, not destroyed, removed. This makes no sense, a Karnath officer growled. They had no time. Yet it kept happening. Worlds surrendered, but their most valuable data vanished. Shipyards were left intact, but empty. Even prisoners spoke strangely calm. One captured pilot was questioned harshly. Who is helping you? The interrogator demanded. The pilot smiled weakly. No one. Then why are you not afraid? Because, the pilot said, this war isn't really ours anymore. The interrogator struck him unconscious. Back at the Galactic Council, reports began to conflict. Yes, the Karnath are winning, a strategist said. But the enemy is adapting too fast. Another scoffed. Fear makes patterns where none exist. The council chose to celebrate instead of question. In the shadows between stars, Earth continued to listen. Inside a human command facility, no banners hung on the walls. No cheering followed enemy losses. Officers and analysts worked in silence, eyes fixed on moving data. A large display showed the war in real time, but not as the galaxy saw it. Human systems broke battles into numbers, behavior, and decision delays. A calm voice spoke. Karnath fleets rely on intimidation. Once dominance is assumed, tactical creativity drops by 37%. Another replied, they expect enemies to break. They do not expect observation. A third added, they also ignore systems they consider irrelevant. A quiet pause followed. Like Earth, someone said. Yes, the first voice replied. Like Earth. Across the room, a massive silhouette rested behind energy shields. Not one ship, but many. Sleek, dark, and motionless. They carried no bright markings. No symbols of pride. Only numbers. Are we ready? A commander asked. Not yet, came the answer. The galaxy still believes this is a simple war. The commander nodded, then let them believe. Back on the front lines, the Karnath Dominion made its first real mistake. They attacked a neutral system, one that supplied fuel to dozens of fleets. The system had no military power, no alliances. The decision was made to send a single task force. The task force entered and lost contact. Minutes passed, then hours. No distress call, no debris field, just silence. The Karnath command dismissed it as a communication failure. Another fleet was sent. It also vanished. The galaxy finally grew uneasy. Scans showed no superweapon, no enemy fleets, nothing that could explain the disappearances. What kind of weapon leaves no trace? A council member asked nervously. No one answered. Far from the panic, human analysts studied the event carefully. Was that us? A junior officer asked. No, the commander replied. Not yet. Then who? The commander looked at the data, then said quietly, someone desperate, someone learning. The galaxy was changing. The war was no longer clean, no longer predictable. And for the first time, the strongest empires felt something unfamiliar, uncertainty. They still laughed when Earth was mentioned, but the laughter was slower now. And somewhere beyond the edge of known space, human warships remained silent, waiting for the exact moment when the galaxy would finally realize that control was illusion. The first sign that something was wrong did not come from a battlefield. It came from a pause. For 3 days, no major fleets moved. No new systems were attacked. The Karna Dominion, known for endless aggression, suddenly slowed. Their commanders reviewed maps again and again, searching for an enemy that refused to appear. The galaxy feels quiet, one Karnath admiral said. Quiet is good, another replied. It means fear. But deep inside, they knew the silence was different. Across several star systems, navigation beacons began to behave strangely. Not broken, not hacked, just slightly off. Ships arrived a few seconds later than expected. Jump exits were less precise. Small errors, but consistent ones. Engineers blamed cosmic interference. Human analysts did not. Inside Earth's Deep Space Command network, patterns formed clearly. They are being observed by someone else now. An analyst said, not us. Explain, the commander replied. Multiple actors are adapting. Panic learning. Poor execution. The commander nodded. So the war is teaching others. Yes, and teaching the galaxy to lie. Out in the open, alien civilizations began to change their behavior. Fleets avoided direct conflict. Convoys split into smaller groups. Long-range weapons replaced close combat. Every move looked defensive. Every move failed. The Karnath attacked a fortified system, expecting resistance. Instead, they found empty space. The defenders had fled hours before the attack, but left behind false signals, old power signatures, and broken drones broadcasting distress calls. The Karnath fired anyway. Their weapons hit nothing. This is a waste of time, a Karnath captain snarled. They run because they know we will win. But the fleet's sensors suddenly flared. Multiple energy spikes. Surrounding them. No ships detected, an officer shouted. The spikes vanished. Then their fuel reserves dropped. Instantly. How? The captain roared. No answer came. The fleet barely escaped, limping home in confusion. At the Galactic Council, fear finally entered the conversation. These tactics are not normal, one delegate whispered. They feel studied. Another slammed the table. Enough paranoia. The Karnas still control half the war zone. Yes, came a quiet reply. But they no longer control the rules. That same day, a forgotten council record was reopened. A junior archivist had been reviewing old session logs. One short recording caught her attention. A human ambassador. Calm. Ignored. His final words replayed across her screen. When the fighting reaches its peak, please remember that Earth chose not to laugh. Her hands trembled. On Earth, there are still no speeches. No public alerts. Humanity's cities lived normally. Children went to school. Markets opened. Planes landed. But in orbit, everything was different. Human warships began to move, not toward the war, but away from Earth. They spread out, taking positions beyond major trade routes, near forgotten systems, near places no one watched anymore. They did not hide. They simply did not announce themselves. In one dark region of space, a lone alien scout finally detected something impossible. Contact, the pilot whispered. Large formation, no known design. Before he could send the data, his ship lost power. Not destroyed. Disabled. A calm human voice filled his cockpit. This vessel is not your enemy, it said. Remain still. The pilot froze. You are human? He asked in disbelief. Yes. Why are you here? There was a pause, long enough to feel deliberate. Because the galaxy forgot something, the voice replied. Wars end when someone decides they must. The scout ship was released moments later. Systems restored. No damage done. The pilot fled in terror. Within hours, rumors spread. Not proof, just fear. Human ships. Silent. Precise. Untouchable. The Karnath Dominion dismissed the stories. Ghosts, their generals laughed. Myths made by cowards. But they doubled their patrols anyway. Back at Earth Command, a final report appeared. The galaxy is no longer mocking us, an officer said. The commander studied the data, then shook his head. No, he replied. They are still mocking us. He turned away from the screen. They just don't realize yet that the war has started watching them back. And when it decided to act, there would be no warnings left. The first human warship did not arrive with light. It arrived with absence. In the middle of a major battle near the Hila front, two massive alien fleets clashed. Energy beams filled space. Missiles burned like stars. Thousands of ships fought for survival as billions watched the live feed across the galaxy. Then everything stopped. Weapons froze mid-fire. Missiles shut down and drifted harmlessly. Engines lost power, but not life support. Ships did not explode. They simply paused. Confusion spread instantly. Command, we've lost control. All systems are locked. Is this a weapon? No one could answer. Then the sensors detected it. A single shape emerged from the darkness behind the battlefield. It was enormous, yet smooth. No glowing engines. No flags. Just a long, dark hull moving without sound. More shapes followed. 10, 20, hundreds. Human warships. The live broadcast continued, but the commentators were silent. Across the galaxy, laughter died in real time. A Karnath flagship tried to raise shields. Nothing responded. Another attempted to fire. No reaction. A comm transmission spread across every channel, every language, every system. This is Earth Command. The voice was neither angry nor proud. It was controlled. This conflict is now under human observation. Panic erupted. Observation? A Karnath admiral shouted. You dare interrupt the Dominion war? The human voice replied instantly. Yes. Another human ship moved forward. Smaller than the others, but faster. It stopped directly in front of the Karnath flagship. You have demonstrated superiority through destruction, the voice continued. We will now demonstrate superiority through control. A single beam of pale light touched the Karnath ship. No explosion. Instead, every weapon aboard folded inward. Armor softened. Power cores shut down. The ship became harmless in seconds. Gasps echoed across the galaxy. Why aren't they destroying us? A Karnath officer whispered. Because destruction was never the goal. The human fleet spread out, positioning themselves between combatants. They did not chase. They did not threaten. They enforced silence. Every attempt to fire failed. Every aggressive maneuver was gently stopped, as if space itself refused violence. At the Galactic Council, chaos broke out. Who authorized this? How does Earth control this technology? They were supposed to be weak. A counselor slammed his claws on the table. Humans were mocked because they were late to the stars. A quiet voice answered. No, they were late to speak. Back on the battlefield, the human commander finally addressed the fleets. You have been fighting to win, he said. We are here to end. A Karnath general snarled. You think peace makes you powerful? No, the human replied. Survival does. The general tried one last time to override his ship. The system rejected him. You learned war early, the human continued. We learned it too well. One by one, alien fleets powered down, not by choice, but by reality. Resistance was meaningless. Across the galaxy, recordings of the event spread faster than fear. Human warships had entered the fight, and they had not fired a single deadly shot. The war was no longer loud. It was decided. For the first time in galactic history, the strongest species understood something terrifying. Earth did not come to prove strength. Earth came to remove the need for it. The galaxy did not sleep after the human warships arrived. Messages flooded every network. Emergency councils formed. Religious leaders prayed. Military leaders stared at frozen fleets and silent weapons, trying to understand how centuries of power had ended in minutes. But the humans did not advance. They held their positions, above dozens of key systems. Human warships floated like quiet guardians. They did not block trade. They did not seize territory. They simply stayed, watching, recording, waiting. That was what frightened everyone the most. On a disabled Karna cruiser, a group of captured commanders were escorted into a neutral chamber. They expected punishment. They expected humiliation. Instead, they found a simple room. No restraints. No guards pointing weapons. A human officer entered. His uniform was plain. His face showed no anger. "You are free to leave at any time," he said. "But before you do, you will listen." The Karnath leaders exchanged confused glances. "You froze our fleets," one of them growled. "You humiliated us before the galaxy." The human nodded once. "Yes. Why not destroy us?" "Because destruction teaches nothing," the human replied. "It only resets the cycle." He activated a display. Images filled the air. Human history. Cities burning. Soldiers crying. Nuclear fire. Ruined planets. Then recovery. Rebuilding. Space stations. Colonies. "We fought ourselves for thousands of years," the officer said calmly. "Every weapon you use today, we imagined yesterday." The Karnath leaders watched in silence. "We learned that winning wars does not end them," the human continued. "Understanding does." One Karnath commander scoffed weakly. "You expect us to believe you are peaceful?" The human shook his head. "No, we expect you to believe we are experienced." Across the galaxy, similar conversations took place. Human envoys met leaders, not as conquerors, but as instructors. They explained how human technology worked, not in detail, but in principle. Humans did not build weapons to overpower enemies. They built systems to remove choices, engines that refused to move toward civilian targets, weapons that shut down when fear drove reckless decisions, command networks that corrected aggression before it became violence. "We don't trust ourselves," one human scientist admitted to an alien council. "So we design our tools not to trust us either." That idea spread faster than fear ever had. At the Galactic Council, a special emergency session was called. This time, Earth was not invited. Earth was requested. The same hall that once echoed with laughter now stood silent as a human delegation entered. No one mocked them. No one whispered. The council speaker cleared his throat. "Why intervene now?" he asked carefully. A human representative answered, "Because the galaxy reached the stage we recognize." "What stage is that?" "The stage where everyone believes the next war will be the last." The room went cold. "Every species reaches that point," the human continued. "And every species is wrong, unless someone stops them." A council member asked quietly, "And what do humans want in return?" The human paused. "Nothing," he said, "except rules that apply to everyone, including us." Outside the hall, human warships adjusted position slightly. Not threatening, just present. The Karnath Dominion, once unstoppable, signed the first ceasefire in its history, not because it was defeated, but because it was understood. Only then did the galaxy realize the truth. Humans were not feared because they were violent. They were feared because they remembered what violence cost. And by the time the galaxy understood that lesson, it was already too late to ignore them. For the first time in recorded history, the Galactic Council sent a single message to one planet. Not a command, not a demand, a request. "Earth, please respond." The message spread across every system. Species that once argued for dominance now waited in silence. Trade halted. Fleets stayed docked. No one wanted to be the one who broke the calm enforced by human presence. Earth responded after 6 hours. Not with a speech. With a list. The list was short. No expansion wars. No civilian targets. No forced occupation. No weapons without fail-safes. No secrecy about genocide. These are not human rules, the message stated. They are survival rules. The galaxy reacted with shock. Some leaders protested. This will weaken us. A human reply came calmly. It will prevent you from destroying yourselves. On the former front lines, alien fleets remained frozen, not disabled anymore, but unwilling to move. Human warships had released control, yet no one fired. Fear had been replaced by awareness. A Karna commander stood on the bridge of his restored flagship, staring at the stars. "We could attack," officer whispered. "Their ships are fewer now." The commander shook his head. "They don't need to stop us again." "Why not?" "Because they already showed us how small our choices really are." Across dozens of worlds, citizens watch recordings of human intervention. No explosions. No triumph. Just quiet control. Children ask their elders, "Why didn't the humans kill anyone?" No one had a good answer. At the Galactic Council, the final session began. This time, the hall was full, not of pride, but of humility. Earth's representative stood again. The same posture. The same calm. "You mocked us," he said. "Not because we were weak, but because we were unfamiliar." No one interrupted. "We do not ask for seats of power," he continued. "We ask for limits. Limits that protect everyone from becoming monsters." A delegate whispered, "And if someone breaks these rules?" The human answer was simple. "Then we will remind them." Silence followed. One by one, species signed accord. Even rivals who had hated each other for centuries agreed, not out of fear of human weapons, but fear of repeating human history. As the final signature was placed, something unexpected happened. Human warships began to leave. One formation after another jumped away from key systems. Trade routes reopened. Patrols returned. The galaxy panicked. Are they abandoning us? Is this a test? Earth sent one final message. We are not your guardians. We are your example. In a quiet moment, the Karnath commander looked at a human symbol left behind. A simple mark indicating observation had ended. They could have ruled us, he said softly. Yes, his aide replied, but they chose not to. Far beyond the council, Earth turned inward again. No celebrations, no monuments, only records. Because humans knew something the galaxy had just learned. Power does not come from being obeyed. It comes from being able to walk away and still be remembered. Years passed, not many, but enough for memory to change into history. The war that once threatened to burn the galaxy became a case studied taught in academies, not a scar carried by survivors. Trade routes expanded. Borders stabilized. Conflicts still happened, but they ended quickly, quietly, because everyone remembered Earth. Human warships were rarely seen now. No constant patrols. No shows of force. Yet their influence remained everywhere, embedded in law, in technology, in caution. A young alien cadet once asked her instructor, "If humans left, why do we still follow their rules?" The instructor answered after a pause, "Because they work." On the former Karnath homeworld, a memorial was built, not to honor conquest, but restraint. At its center stood a simple engraving. Strength is knowing when not to strike. No human attended the unveiling. At the Galactic Council, a new session began. This time, the agenda was peaceful cooperation, resource sharing, joint exploration. A seat at the center remained empty. Earth's seat. A counselor finally spoke the question no one had dared to ask. Will humans ever return? The speaker replied quietly. They never left. They are just not watching anymore. Far away, beyond map space, a human exploration vessel drifted near an uncharted star. Its mission was not defense or war. It was curiosity. On board, a young officer reviewed old recordings. He paused at one familiar clip, the laughter in the council hall years ago. Hard to believe they laughed, he said. The captain nodded. Fear often wears a mask of pride. And now, Now, they teach our story to their children. The officer smiled faintly. Is that enough? The captain looked out at the stars. It has to be, he said, because the moment they forget, we'll have failed. Back in the core systems, an emergency briefly flared. A minor fleet violated the old rules, targeting a civilian convoy. Before panic could spread, the fleet stood down. No human ships appeared. No message was sent. The violators corrected themselves. That was the true victory. Earth had changed the galaxy not by ruling it, but by proving something terrifyingly simple. A species that survives itself does not need to conquer others. It only needs to be remembered. And so, long after laughter faded, one truth remained across every star system, carved into policy, culture, and fear alike. Never mock Earth. Never test humans. Because if they ever returned to war, they would not come to win. They would come to end it.